Assalamu alaikum. 6 p.m. This is Radio Pakistan, the news read by Miriam Khan. First, the headlines. Treasury and opposition members of the National Assembly continue debate on a budget for the next fiscal year in Islamabad today. Economic Coordination Committee, which met in Islamabad today, was informed that 28 billion tons of wheat stock was available against the total national requirement of 25.84 billion tons. In occupied Kashmir, complete shutdown was observed in Islamabad to commemorate the 25th martyrdom anniversary of noted Islamic scholar Dr. Qazi Nisar Ahmed. UN Refugee Agency has urged the rich Western countries to help developing countries bearing the brunt of the world's refugee crisis. United States and China will resume trade talks ahead of a meeting between their leaders at G20 summit next week. In the ICC Cricket World Cup match between New Zealand and South Africa is underway at Birmingham. And now the news in detail. National Assembly continued its debate on budget for the next fiscal year in Islamabad today. Speaking at the House, Minister for Power Umar Ayub emphatically stated that the revenue target of 5.5 trillion rupees set for the next fiscal year will be achieved by the PTI-led government. He said the civilian government and the armed forces have cut down their expenditures in the budget to deal with the current economic situation. The minister said 184 billion rupees have been earmarked in the budget for the development of tribal districts. Regarding the power sector, Umar Ayub said we have brought the improvements in the electricity transmission system, as a result of which we ensured a load-shedding-free Ramadan during Sahar and Iftar timings. Voicing concerns over the increase in circular debt in the previous regime, he said we will bring the circular debt to zero by the end of the next year. Umar Ayub said we have also started a campaign to check power theft. FIRs have been registered against the 30,000 people, whilst 4,000 people have been put behind the bars for the involvement in the power pilferage. Earlier speaking in the National Assembly, leader of the opposition Shehbaz Sharif called for the collective efforts to steer the country out of the economic challenges. He said we are prepared to sign a charter of economic with the government to take the country forward. Shehbaz Sharif said focus on the budget should have been on the employment generation, reduction in inflation, GDP growth, bolstering the exports, and ensuring the economic justice. A parliamentary delegation of Iran also witnessed proceedings of the House. Both the Treasury and opposition benches welcomed the delegation by thumping of desks. Economic Coordination Committee, which met in Islamabad today, was informed that the 28 million tons of wheat stock was available against the total national requirement of 25.84 million tons. The committee deliberated upon the proposal of the ministry to impose ban on export of wheat and referred the matter to the constituted committee of the ECC to make its recommendations. Power Division briefed the committee about the cash and non-cash settlement for power sector. The ECC resolved the issue of industrial support package by adjusting it against the loans receivable from the power sector entities. Regarding K Electric, the committee directed that the ISP claims of a K Electric amounting to approximately 30 billion rupees may be looked into, a solid recommendation be made. Prime Minister Imran Khan has emphasized on living a life of contentment. In a tweet, he quoted a philosopher Khalil Gibran as saying that I slept, I dreamt that a life is all joy. I woke up, I saw that the life is all service. I served, I saw that service is joy. The Prime Minister said those who discover and go to the understand the wisdom of Khalil Gibran words cited above get to live the life of contentment. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says the PTI government is going to introduce a comprehensive reforms in infrastructure development. Talking to British Secretary of State for the International Development, Rory Stewart, in London, he said the government has been pursuing the agenda of socio-economic development. The minister said Pakistan gives high values to its relations with the United Kingdom and desire to further strengthen the bilateral economic and trade ties with Britain. Shah Mahmood Qureshi said British Department for International Development has rendered great service in the field of education and health in Pakistan, and we desire the further expansion in the cooperation. The British Secretary of State for International Development assured his country's cooperation in the matter of mutual interest. This is Radio Pakistan giving you the news. In occupied Kashmir, complete shutdown was observed in Islamabad and adjoining areas to commemorate the 25th martyrdom anniversary of noted Islamic scholar Dr. Qazi Nisar Ahmed and against the recent killings of Indian troops in the district. Call for the shutdown was given by the Jammu and Kashmir Ummat-e-Islami. The shops, business establishment and schools were closed while traffic was off the road in Islamabad town. Qazi Nisar was shot dead by unknown gunmen in this day in 1994 in the Ban Dialgan area of Islamabad district. There are also reports of intense clashes erupted during the protests in Bijbehara area of Islamabad district today against the launch of cordon and search operation by the Indian troops in the area. Meanwhile, a demonstration was held in Tharal area of Pulwama district against the thrashing of the Kashmiri Sikh driver by police in Delhi. Media reports said that the Sikh and the Muslim youth in a large number of assembled at a main town near the bus stand and staged a protest against the incident. The wives of the former Mujahideen who returned to occupied Kashmir from Azad Jammu and Kashmir under rehabilitation scheme also staged a protest demonstration at Press Enclave in Srinagar demanding the permission for return to their native areas. On the other hand, the chief patron of APHC constituent, the Pirwani Vilayat, Maulana Sibbatul Shabir Qaumi, addressing a meeting of party's General Council in Srinagar, urged India and Pakistan to hold dialogue to resolve the Kashmir dispute and other bilateral issues. Pakistan has called for a new United Nations strategy and plan of action to combat Islamophobia and hate speech. Pakistan Permanent Representative to the UN, Maliha Lodi, said that this is a special meeting in New York. She said the language is being used to secure the narrow political and electoral gains in many parts of the world, including the South Asia region. Maliha Lodi said Prime Minister Imran Khan has recently called for urgent action to counter Islamophobia, which is today the most prevalent expression of racism and hatred against others. The United Nations Refugees Agency has said that the developing and poor countries hosting refugees worldwide need Western help and reconciliation. In a statement in Geneva, UNHCR said the rich Western nations who have done nothing in this connection are required to help those developing countries bearing the brunt of the world's refugees crisis and hosting the most record of 70.8 million displaced people who have fled war and persecution. The statement said more than two-thirds of the world's refugees come from Syria, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Myanmar, and Somalia. The United States and China will resume trade talks ahead of a meeting between their leaders at G20 summit next week. In a tweet today, the US President Donald Trump said he had a good discussion with his Chinese counterpart and the teams of two countries will start talks before their meeting at G20 summit in Japan. On the other hand, the Chinese President Xi Jinping has also expressed the willingness to meet the President Trump. In the 25th match of ICC Cricket World Cup at Birmingham against New Zealand, South Africa were 132 for 3 in 31.1 overs a short while ago. Earlier, New Zealand won the toss and elected to field first. And finally, the weather report. Mainly hot and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, dust thunderstorm rain with the gusty winds is expected at isolated places in Rawalpindi, Gujranwala, Lahore, Sargodha, Faisalabad, Multan, DG Khan, Sahiwal, Bahawalpur, Zob, DI Khan divisions, Islamabad, Gilgit-Baltistan, and Kashmir. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and also watch a live video streaming of our bulletin on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.